Kanye West appeared on Nick Cannon's podcast called Cannon's Class, and they covered a plethora of topics. It is telling in terms of where our culture is in trying to quickly dismiss people we may not understand or disagree with and write them off as crazy, or as Kanye would say, yazy. Let me drop the intro.
I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need a help. Ooh, I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need a help. Ooh, that's right. I don't need nothing else. That's right.
King's Dream Entertainment.
Hey, what's going on? It's Ruslan with KingsDreamENT.com. This channel exists to encourage, empower, inspire you. Yes, you to live out God's dream. We cover all kinds of different topics from music, marketing, culture, faith, everything in between. So I'm going to be giving you guys my commentary on this Kanye interview with Nick Cannon. Part 1 of it. I'm assuming there's a part 2. If you are here because you want to see the actual interview, go watch the actual interview. Don't be frustrated that I'm giving you guys my opinion about the interview. Okay, that's what this video is about, right? This video is brought to you by the most talented community in all the internet, our King's Dream Patreon community, which you should consider being a part of. Quick thumbs up, like real quick. That helps a ton with the algorithms. I'm gonna get right into it. This is Kanye on some of his controversial views. Here we go.
Okay, so now let's get to life. In 50 years, there's been 22 million, over 22,500,000 black people aborted.
Yeah, we're jumping deep into the waters, ladies and gentlemen. We're going right for it. We're going right for it. Why are we going right for it? Because we should. Because I think I want to get you guys to the meat of this interview. And my man Kanye goes in on the topic of abortion, specifically the history of Planned Parenthood. Wild stuff. Very interesting. And I think Nick Cannon does some good pushback. We're going to go right into it. Now, one of the things you'll notice about this interview, if you listen to Kanye in long form and you're not just watching tidbits, you're not just watching little he's very there, right? Like he's there. He's in his right frame of mind. Now, granted, he does a lot of talking on this. He doesn't really let Nick speak a lot, but that's every Kanye interview, right? So have no confusion. Like Kanye is there, but he's also Kanye, what he would call a brain sprain, okay? He's been diagnosed with bipolar. I don't know if he's taking any medication for it, but just know that that's what you're going to get from him. But when you actually hear him in long form, you'll notice he jumps around topics a lot. But my man is pretty on point, in my opinion. Now, again, some of you guys might hate Kanye, and that's all good. But I think he's pretty on point. Yo, shout out to my man Louis Davis for just joining the channel, becoming an official channel member. He'll get access to all kinds of live private streams. Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate your support on the channel. You too can support the channel by becoming a channel member, giving a super chat donation, or joining our Patreon. Let's get back to Kanye and Nick Cannon.
Strategically and on purpose. Planned Parenthood.
He said 20 million people, black people, have been aborted. He says strategically on purpose. This is crazy.
Was set up and placed in minority communities to kill black people.
You talking about when Margaret Sanger, the originator of Planned Parenthood at the time, because a lot of people, when you say things like that, in their defense, they say, well, Planned Parenthood today is a different organization. But
And I listen, I appreciate Nick Cannon pushing back. I appreciate people having these conversations. I think this is a conversation that, like, we just checked out. The pro-life position can be so polarizing, and a lot of the representatives of that movement, specifically the religious right, can be so checked out and so kind of tone deaf to a lot of the other social issues going on. And then the pro-choice position could just be so, like, blanketed, black and white. It's a woman's choice. It's a woman's body. Shut up. Don't you dare say anything otherwise, right? I appreciate this dialogue. I appreciate this conversation. I really do. And I'll get into some of my opinions later. But I just want to keep running through this. There's a lot of good stuff here.
But what
Hey, here we go.
Yo, Kanye's a fool.
But what you
Margaret
cannot
Sanger.
deny is these facts that Ye is about to give you right now.
Here we go. Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was an avowed racist whose goal was to reduce the black population in America, and she succeeded.
These are all facts, guys.
80% of abortion clinics in America are in minority neighborhoods. Over 22
Did you know that? I don't know if you guys knew that. Did you guys know that 80% of abortion clinics in America are in minority neighborhoods? That's a wild statistic if you think about it.
1,500,000 black babies have been aborted in 50 years. Over 1,000 black babies are aborted every day.
Whew.
So that
1,000 every day. That, jeez.
means we are inside of it as we speak.
This is genocide. So wait,
We are inside of
Yo, Nick Cannon said, this is genocide. Nick Cannon said that. That's, wow. I'm happy this discussion's happening.
So
as
people,
we speak.
what about the people that are going to argue and say, but, you know, Kanye doesn't have the right to speak on that because he's not a woman. The fact that Planned Parenthood does a lot of amazing things and they're in those communities because they need to be in those communities.
Well, I have to go to the word.
And by the way, what Nick Cannon is saying is true. I know people that have had to go to Planned Parenthood to get specific procedures, not just for abortions. They do provide birth control. They do provide contraceptives. I think the root of Planned Parenthood is very problematic. I think the fact that they perform so many abortions in so many black and brown neighborhoods is problematic. But to be fair, they do provide a lot of health services, free health services to women, to poor people. So just to be clear, that's what Nick is pushing back by. And I personally know people that have benefited from it, have felt conflicted, but have benefited from having a specific procedure that they had to get done in the Planned Parenthood because they couldn't get done with their general primary doctor. Let's keep watching.
God says he knew you before you were in the womb.
Yep.
Kanye said, let's go to the word. Let's go to the word. He said he knew you before you were in your mother's womb.
Jeremiah 1:5.
Yeah. So I got one other statistic. Abortion is the #1 killer of black lives in the United States, according to the Centers for Disease Control and
CDC.
Prevention.
Mm-hmm.
According to the CDC. According to the CDC. Okay, the CDC, the people that are putting out, did a video earlier on the CDC and then putting out statements. They just released a statement earlier about how only 6% of people who passed away from COVID had only COVID. They didn't have anything else. They just had COVID, right? And then the other 94 had other complications. But this is the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. This is what they're saying. So this isn't like a crazy right-wing statistic. This is from the CDC.
Abortion kills more black people than HIV, homicide, diabetes, accidents, cancer, and heart disease. Watch this one. Combined.
Woo! I didn't know that. That's crazy. So 20 million, 20. These are things that as a Christian, I'll be honest, these are numbers as a Christian that I'm aware of, but probably don't like to look at. And this is Ye challenging me, but I think all of us, to have this conversation in a public forum, to have these uncomfortable conversations that we don't want to have. Like, we know abortion's bad. We know, like, ooh, you know, there's alternatives. Like, the ultimate alternative is like, hey, don't get pregnant if you aren't ready to have a baby, right? Don't have unprotected sex. Like, that's the best solution. But we know that it happens, but I don't know if we know that it happens to this magnitude, right? This is a lot. 1,000 a day, right? 1,000 black babies a day. Let's keep watching.
Yeah.
Combined 3,000 shootings in Chicago a year, 700 murders. You got to put that with heart disease. You got to put that with HIV. You got to put that with diabetes. You got to put that with just accidents.
Yeah,
and you
in
put that
general.
with cancer.
Yeah.
And it doesn't add up to specifically abortions. And if you think about that number, 1,000 black babies are aborted each day.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've sent this to people, and there's some people that say, wow, that touches me. There's some people say, I feel that. And there's an overwhelming amount of people that I sent it to, and their response was, thank you for sending that.
With no emotion.
With no emotion. Thank you for sending. Thank you for, why would you thank anyone for sending you that? I didn't even want to have to say the information out loud. But God said, "Yay, I need to use you. I'm one of the bullhorns. He's just been prepping me, and he's been protecting me."
Yeah, we've been talking about this for years. I mean, you and I put "Can I Live Together?"
So those are some wild numbers. Those are some wild numbers. Those are some sad numbers. It's sad that so many people can't have kids, that there are people who can have kids and have kids that they don't want that are terminating these pregnancies. That is sad. That's just sad. It just is what it is, right? It just is what it is. It is unfortunate. And I'm happy that the conversation is happening, even though it's a really tough thing to think about. I know people who've had abortions. I got people close to me that have had abortions, right? When you really think about it, it's a pretty wild act. And I think it is one of those things that we will look back at in a long time from now, when they've perfected birth control, and anybody that doesn't want to get pregnant doesn't get pregnant, right? Like they refine the technology to that degree. I think we will look back at this as a people and be like, yo, we was pretty barbaric to just be doing this act, right? And normalizing it, right? And making it normal. So let me get back to the show. Shout out to Justin for joining the channel membership. Appreciate you, brother. All right, so here's another clip. Let's keep watching.
You can only give God the glory because of the connection point to the birthday. The connection point to the birthday party.
No, so he talks about his birthday party, like he called his party for president the birthday party. And they didn't really get into him running for president on this part of the interview. However, he talks about the birthday party and how it's connected to this, which is really interesting. So watch this.
Is dealing with life and pro-life,
Right.
because these are kids that now are going to get a chance to have birthdays. Like for Daily Mail, who want to tear me down, for anyone who wants to tear me down for crying, you realize that because of South Carolina, there are people who have decided to have the child because they connected. And if they were on the fence about it, they never saw anyone in my position take that position.
Facts.
And say, look at this. This is a 7-year-old right here. And she might have never made it here.
Right.
And so when I talked to my father made me apologize to him for bringing this up publicly.
I've had that conversation with my father as well.
And then he also said, you know, the abortion culture teaches people that a child isn't a real soul.
The abortion culture teaches that the child isn't a real soul.
And it was my wife that said, this is a soul. And the scariest thing.
Yo, Kim Kardashian. Remember Kanye in that rally that he was ostracized for, that rally where he was ridiculed for, said that why did he break down and crying? People were like, he's unstable. He broke down and started crying because he was talking about him wanting to abort his first daughter the same way his dad wanted to abort him. Then he started crying. Kim Kardashian, who we dismiss and call a harlot, and Christians, look down their nose at her. Kim Kardashian was the one who fought and said that she had a soul. Just think about this for a second. Think about this.
Is she had the pills. You know, you take these pills, you take them, and the next morning the baby's gone. She had the pills in her hand. And a lot of times people say, well, they want to jump to the most radical reason of why someone would not have a child. I say
the most what is he talking about? The most radical people. Well, what about incest? Well, what about this? What about that? Right? The most radical reason. What about rape? And when you look at it, less than 2% of abortions are actually from incest or rape. 45% of people who have abortions have had a previous abortion. That's a true statistic. What does that mean? That means that almost half of the people who've had an abortion have had a previous abortion. What does that mean? That means that they're using it as a form of birth control. Right? it keeps happening. Keeps happening, right? Let's keep watching.
Said not, you know why I said not have a child? Because I'm still so mindful as a man about using the word abortion. That's how shook we are about using the word abortion
But
as
a lot,
men.
it's a topic that they say as men we should not be able. As two men sitting here, we should not be having a full conversation about abortion.
Well, that's a strategy to take the male opinion out of any conversation.
Woo! Now look. This right here is, oh, this is good. He said as a man, and I'll be honest, I'm uncomfortable even talking about this because I know it's going to happen. YouTube's going to demonetize this video. I guarantee it. As a man, he said, I feel uncomfortable even saying the word abortion. And Nick Cannon says, yeah, we're told that we aren't allowed to talk about it. We're not allowed to even talk about it, right? We've been so programmed in our society, it's a woman's choice. It's a woman's body, her choice, her body, her choice. And watch what Kanye said. He says that's a strategy, which is, by the way, asinine. Listen, if you're pro-life, pro-choice from a political standpoint, not whatever, right? I think that's a human life. I think that's a human life in there. But to say men don't have a right to have a voice on the matter when it requires a man's sperm to impregnate, that's insane. So a man doesn't have a choice in the matter, but if a man gets you pregnant and you have the baby, which the man didn't want you have the right to go after him for child support. That doesn't really seem reasonable. It takes two people to conceive a child. It takes two people to raise a child. How? How is that not? What? No, right? This is that worldly asinine logic. And watch what he says here. And this is when he's gonna start getting some of you other, not you other, some of you guys are gonna get triggered. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully you see the value and the nuance and the both perspectives that he shares, right? But watch where he goes and watch where this conversation goes. Check this out.
Just taking the leaders and the males out of neighborhoods in the 80s. It's like you take
let me pull it back so you don't
conversation. Just taking
As two men sitting here, we should not be having a full conversation about abortion.
Well, that's a strategy to take the male opinion out of any conversation.
That's a strategy to take the male opinion out of any conversation. Watch where he goes. Watch where he goes. Some of you guys are going to be triggered. Some of you religious right people are going to be triggered. Watch where he takes this.
Taking the leaders and the males out of neighborhoods in the 80s.
Taking the leaders and the men out of neighborhoods in the 80s. What is he talking about? He's talking about the war on drugs. He's talking about how these neighborhoods were over-policed, where I did a whole video about this. I actually did kind of a debate on this, where the CIA knowingly allowed cocaine to flood the streets of black and brown neighborhoods and then come down harder on black men which then the prison population like quadrupled in that window. This is the 80s, right? This is systemic racism he's talking about here. I know some of you guys are triggered right now. Systemic racism doesn't exist. How dare you say systemic? I know some of you guys are triggered, but just hear him out. He's saying that when you dismiss and say a man can't have a voice on the issue of abortion, it's the same as you're trying to take away a man out of the home, out of the neighborhood, and that is exactly what happened in the 80s, which was under who? That was under Republican policies, right? There's a movie called Kill the Messenger by that you guys could go check it out, right? Oliver North did admit it. I did a whole video about this. Let's keep watching. Check this out.
It's like you take that opinion because you need both opinions.
Right.
You need the male and the female opinion, and also it's both people's child. Now I can get into, the funny thing is I posted a picture because I read that in New York. I heard that you can abort after 9 months.
No, he's talking about a late-term abortion law in New York if the mother's health was at risk. So I don't think New York legally can do late-term, like casual abortions, but I do know there's a law that got passed that was really disgusting. And so that is what he is referring to right here. But I don't think it's like if you're just randomly pregnant, you can go get an abortion now. I don't think that's what that is. But there is a similar now. But watch what he says here.
But I saw on Google, they said 24 weeks. And I showed
24 weeks is mad late, just so you guys know. 24 weeks is extremely late. A lot of babies can live outside of the womb with support at 24 weeks. This is mad late.
a picture on my Twitter of a 24-week-year-old fetus. Would that be the term? And I got backlash. How you gonna put up that abortion tweet? And you know what it is? I was trying to appeal to humanity, but we can see in this world by the reaction that people had to me crying that there is no humanity. You could see the state of the world.
Well, it's a lot of people in pain, yeah. Like it's a lot of people, so they focus on their pain and like they want to.
He said we could see that there is no humanity, right? And then Nick Cannon chimes in. He says a lot of people are in pain. Watch what he says here, though.
They want to polarize. They want to say this is where you wrong.
He said I posted a picture of a 24-week-old fetus because you can get an abortion in many states up to 24 weeks. And he said, I tried to appeal to people's humanity.
You can't do this, you can't do that, or ridicule or make fun of it.
So now, since there is no humanity, then there has to just be God and man. And you can't serve two masters. So
I can't appeal to your humanity, so now there just has to be God and man. You can't serve two masters. Wow. 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 That's heavy. That's heavy. So this is Kanye on his whole, this is him speaking about abortion, coming out as very pro-life, having these conversations, saying, and being very in his right frame of mind. He doesn't seem to be having a manic episode. He doesn't seem to be out of his mind, right? He seems to be very, very, very present and engaged. So those are my thoughts, man. Let me know what you guys think about this. I would love to hear from you in the comments section. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. I go live every single day. I don't want you guys to miss any of these. And if you want to partner with what we're doing, consider joining the most talented community in all the world, which is Patreon. Also, consider joining channel members. That would be super dope. Or go buy some merch. Link is in the description. I'm going to drop the full interview. You guys can go watch it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Peace.